So I haven't done a video journal in a while. It's been a break and all kinds of things. It's now October 14th, the Friday before the literacy takeover at Barton. Uh, let's see, I spent the last couple days up there getting everything ready. The lesson plans are coming along well. Um, got the room together today. Um, it's interesting. Even during the break, there are things about it about the school, about the learning culture, that concerns me. Right. For instance, I was up there on Thursday, which was yesterday, and people seemed very surprised that I was up there. And one person even told me jokingly, "Go home, go home." Um, I don't know how I feel about that. Right. I would think that the expectation is that you would put in a couple days of work, of prep work, before the babies come back on Monday after a 2 week break. And so that being up there wouldn't be that big of a surprise, but apparently it was. Um, Another thing I saw was that today um, they were holding open the bathroom door with an everyday math book. Uh, I don't know. I mean, from what I see in everyday math, I don't think that book is being used. But I still find that very interesting that you're using a math book to hold open a bathroom door. Um, but I feel like those kinds of things say a lot. Another thing was that I was trying to get the addresses of 305 in order to send home this field trip slip, but I couldn't get the addresses until today. Um, I'm trying to understand why it took so long. Right? I mean, it's not that people have been working on it for 2 weeks. It's that I asked for it the Friday before we went on break. Um, and I guess I just assumed that there would be something very simple, right? Alt F3 or something, and print it out. And apparently it was very simple because when I got it today from the AP, it was obviously something that could be simply done. But I was concerned that it could, like, I don't understand why these kinds of things can't be done. Um, but it is what it is. But also, I think that speaks to another issue, right? When I think about stuff like community building and record keeping, um, back in my old school, this is something that we would do at the beginning of the year. We would ensure that we had a copy of all the contact information. We would not rely on the school to have the contact information. That's something we didn't do. We did not collect student information. We didn't collect full names, birthdays, hobbies, favorite colors, addresses, contact information. Like, we didn't do any of that. Not for the classroom. Um, yeah, not sure how I feel about that. Um, but yeah, so that's that. Um, a few interesting things came up though. I started to think about, um, the homework packets I've put together, as well as the work packets for the week. I'm starting to realize that my understanding of rigor, as far as work production, typically means just more work. Um, short of like, doing more challenging math problems or doing kind of like a cross, you know, application, like, showing that you understand the concept across many different, you know, um, mediums. I mean, I don't really understand what rigor is, right? That's something that I don't understand. I mean, when I think about rigor as I encountered it, for instance, at Columbia, rigor was just more work. Um, in a lot of cases. Now, there were some cases where I was definitely asked to think, but that was typically in the one-on-one relationships I had with the professors. But more often than not, I was just asked to produce more work and read more books. And while I do understand that that is one form of rigor, I don't want to be beholden to just that form of rigor. Um, but going into the literacy takeover, I'm feeling rather good. There's a lot in the understanding by design that I don't necessarily know how to answer, like hooks and all this other stuff, because we're coming to an end of a unit. And I mean, I don't know. I mean, yeah, I mean, I already hear what you're going to say, right? You got to do this work all the time. It just feels very different and slightly less than authentic when everything is scripted. Um, so, not exactly sure how to answer that question. Although I do understand how, going through the lesson plans and doing the lesson plans definitely forced me to change some things, decide to move some things out of the whole group and move them to small group or conferences. I have gotten a hold of my assessment um, system. I'm gonna try this out. This Dr. Seuss lesson plan and record book. I'm very excited about this actually. It appeals to my need to have 85 cajillion ways to document what the students are learning, um, while also attending to that child that is trapped inside of me by having Dr. Seuss on the front. We'll see how it works, right? Um, I'm only trying it out for 2 weeks. It's like a pilot, right? We'll see how it works. Hopefully, it works well. I like the idea that it's in one book until I get to the point of having it all electronic, which is still my goal. To eventually have everything electronic and having no paper. Speaking of paper, I was actually very surprised by how much paper my prep work took. Um, I used like a ream of paper just for these two, just for 1 week. Now that I think about it, I used almost a ream of paper for like 1 week. Um, I don't know how I feel about that. Besides the issues of paper budgets, um, and I'm gonna replace that ream of paper that I bought. Even though Miss Laney may not expect me to do so, I'm going to replace that ream of paper. But also I mean, I just have green concerns, right? That much paper, I find that to be outrageous. Um, so I'm trying to figure out ways to use less paper or to have something that's really centralized, um, like in like for me. And I know that they used to get these readers notebooks, which I think they get with the balanced literacy. It's produced by Heinemann. I do assume though that something like this would cost a lot of money. Um, and it's still essentially doing paper. I mean, I'm starting. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if this is something that I can exactly get away from, right? Unless we digitize everything and everybody gets laptops or iPads or something. This is kind of what's going to happen. And part of me is okay with that. The my issue is not necessarily, um, to do away with using paper. I do want to find ways to recycle that paper responsibly in my classroom, though. If I am going to use all that paper, it needs to get recycled. And I don't want to just throw stuff in a bag and find out we're just dumping it in the trash anyway, which is what happens at a lot of these schools. But also, my concern is I want it in a place that is like one thing for the kids. I don't want my babies to have to be using 85 cajillion folders. And so I guess the question would be like, how do I do that for them? How do I have for them one place where they will have everything? And usually people do like composition notebooks. That's one way to do it. I guess the benefit of this is that it has all these extra things in there. Um, like reading list, like it's all in here already. So this seems very convenient. Um, and that's probably one of the reasons why it's going to cost a lot of money. I'm going to check the prices of that. Other than that, I mean, I purposely only focus on 1 week. I want to see what it feels like to have 1 week ready, and then I plan for the second week during the first week. My thought is that come my first year, I'll be able to plan out a good chunk of um, of instruction during the time leading up to the beginning of the school year, and then at the beginning of the school, like hopefully, like maybe I can plan out a quarter in a month, right? I'm assuming like maybe I get hired at July 1. classes don't start to the beginning of August. So I'll be planning throughout the month of July for the first quarter, and then during the first quarter, I'll be planning for the second quarter. Through the second quarter, I plan through the third for the third. And so my thought is to do it that way. So I'm trying it out on a smaller scale to see what that feels like. Of course, with the hopes that by the end of the first year, I pretty much have exactly what I'll be teaching, but without having to, lose myself in lesson plans, which is not my goal at all. Um, and also, I mean, the way that I see something like this is that I would need two of these per year, um, because yeah, I mean, we can talk about that another way, but yeah, whatever. I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I've definitely made a lot of changes. The homework thing, there's a change to the homework thing, um, which I'll make sure to put in the lesson plan so that you can see that. Um, Other than that, um, I'm looking forward to losing myself in a book this weekend. That's really my whole goal is I just want to read a book. I'm gonna do some more guided reading lesson plans tonight, and then I'm calling it like I'm calling it. Um, I'm not gonna do anything else um, until Monday. That's what I'm hoping to do. Knowing me, I'm going to do something. But that's what I'm trying to do. But I at least want to finish a book this weekend. Anyway, hope all is well. Talk to you later. Peace.